promise
feel like I'm
you'll
with
be
the little
invited.
boys on
I
the
will laugh in
playground
your
right now.
face for the
Oh my
misery
God.
that you will suffer from.
Are we on
Okay?
in
Can we
recess
talk about
right
more
now?
of his
About to play a
dysfunction?
kickball game? There's a little
I've always been
dysfunction going on in Buffalo. Let's get into that. Rex Ryan's Bills
You know,
have now
me
lost
there.
5 of their last 7 games and are all but eliminated from the postseason. Rex is now 14-15 in 2 seasons with Buffalo and said Monday that he assumes he will be the Bills coach in 2017. Stephen A. has seen enough.
Rex Ryan needs to go right now. I take no pleasure in saying that because I happen to like him. But the reality of the situation is that you're in a results-oriented business, and the results speak for themselves. I'm looking forward to Rex Ryan working for ESPN in the near future,
He's great on TV.
or being a defensive coordinator for some
Great
other
at that
team.
too.
What he has no business doing is being a head coach in the National Football League.
It's hard for me to take you seriously in that T-shirt. Today is Rex Ryan's 54th birthday. We want to wish him a very happy birthday. Will, why is Stephen A. wrong?
Yeah, that T-shirt's not the only reason you shouldn't take him seriously. Let's speak about dysfunction. Thank goodness you don't run a professional sports franchise.
Max has said this already.
Everyone
By the way,
would get
Max has said this. Max has said this.
Or for that matter, manage anyone's money. You just fleece them out of things that they integrity and righteousness would lead them towards. Yes, fleece. Yes. Because
I think
you
I
make
could work for Stephen A. He
emotional
just wants
decisions.
results.
You make emotional decisions. In this case, with the Buffalo Bills and Rex Ryan, the emotion you're feeling is panic. It's panic.
Okay.
You're playing on panic.
Hurry up, make your point, man.
This is
Hurry
not
up.
the success, the formula for success. Panic is not the formula. It's a process. You've learned it through Nick Saban. You've learned it now through Jason Garrett, who, by the way, took like 5-6 years of 500 ball to get the process in place. You've seen it with the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Process.
Your own team.
So it's the process.
Trust the
Three
process.
coaches.
It's not Dak and Ezekiel. It's the process.
the process.
Go ahead. Keep
It works
talking.
for Philly.
Keep talking.
You're not giving the man a chance to implement his process, his culture, the way he wants to win. Nary 2 seasons does not count. And I don't want to hear about his experience with the Jets. This is about the Bills and these players and these coaches. You must give someone more time. You must see what they do when it's played out. Your 2-year emotional panic decision only ruins it for the next guy and the next guy and the next guy. You don't end up the Pittsburgh Steelers. You end up the Cleveland Browns in that scenario.
You know,
Okay, go ahead.
I needed to go here, Max. I got to either. First of all, in order for you to get at me, it's a requirement that comes with you being, for example, on First Take. To show you how lenient I am, I've actually allowed you on this show multiple times wearing that same damn shirt you're wearing right now. But I'm going to let that slide. Try a new one. Here's the deal, okay? When we talk about Rex Ryan, do you understand that Rex Ryan has not had a winning record since 2010?
How long has he been the Bills coach?
2 years, 4 years in New York. What I'm saying to you is this. This is a man that bloviates about himself and what he's going to do. This is a man that was introduced as the head coach for the Buffalo Bills and said, is the mic on? Because it's about to be on. All the stuff that y'all been going through, missing the playoffs all of these years, that's about to change. This is a man that has proven religiously over the course of a half-decade now, more than a half-decade, that he is incapable of being the overseer of an entire franchise. Can he coach defense? Absolutely. He's elite. But he has proven that he's very limited on the offensive side of the ball, that he is very limited when it comes to developing quarterbacks. And when you look at the combination of those two realities and what is required to be successful in the NFL, the fact of the matter is he's come up short. But I also call about this. Why do guys prefer to come to the NFL rather than coach colleges? Because you don't have to recruit. You got grown young men that's coming in there. They understand the responsibility that comes along with the task at hand. They embrace it. They accept it. They're well paid for it. They move forward. So ultimately, it comes down to your ability as a leader, as a steward of a franchise, to go out there and galvanize the troops and maximize their effort so you can have peak performance. This dude religiously comes up short. That's the bottom line. If you keep letting guys like him stay in their positions, no one new will ever be a head coach. That's what it comes down to, Max.
Look, what it comes down to is no matter, the coaches mostly cancel each other out. Again, the bell curve. You know, here are the bad coaches. There are 3 or 4 or 5 of them by definition. Most of the others fall in the middle somewhere and tend to cancel out. You know, you're a great coach. You're in the NFL. I mean, that, of course, it's the highest league in the world for football. So you have to be great to get there, but now you're being compared to other great coaches. So among that group, where do you rank? Well, by definition, most will be in the middle, and then a few will be on the far right end, the really special coaches. Now, Only a couple of teams can have those guys. Bill Belichick, Pete Carroll, Mike Tomlin, these guys. Otherwise, you just hope to get maybe on the right side of that middle of the pack. And solid coaches with bad players will tend to be underrated. With solid teams will be about 500. And if you give them good players, really good players, Jason Garrett, they'll look really good. And I think it's pretty clear that Rex Ryan is a solid coach. He's shown that throughout his career. The Bills have solid talent, and so they're about a 500 team. But you don't jettison the coach because he's not Bill Belichick. That is what dysfunctional franchises do. As I said yesterday, as Will just brought up today, and others are, of course, thinking those are bad, dysfunctional franchises. We didn't get the exact results we want right now. Max, let's make a change. No, you stay the course.
I heard Max get into this debate with you yesterday about whether or not he is a solid coach. I'm not going to go down that path. That's your fight, Max. Mine is this: too little time. And Stephen A. falls back on the Jets and his experience with the Jets, which is virtually, not completely, virtually irrelevant to this debate. It's just like a financial guy who trades your stocks every 2 months. You're going to lose money. You got to see this process play out. And when it's done, maybe he's not solid, Max. Maybe he's not solid.
Let me finish the thought in this regard.
AFC Championship game.
It's not about the system. It's not about the coach. It's about the individual. And let me be the first to say, I am guilty of this. Y'all can call me whatever you want. I'm not playing. I'm a results-oriented dude. And I say that with me as well. If I ain't getting the job, my experience is that if I'm not getting the job done, I got to go. All right? If somebody else ain't getting the job done, you have to go. It's just that simple. This is not personal. This is about the NFL culture. You know how parity is. A team that stunk one year can end up being good the next. If you 6 years in the NFL, come on, Will.
I need to add something
6 years?
We need
6 years?
My issue with you is not that you're a results-oriented guy, but when you think you know what the results are. And with the Bills, don't give me 6 years. I told you, 2 years. Bills, 2 years.
Here's the other thing I want us to think about, too. Obviously, his strong suit is the defense. When he inherited this team, they had the 4th best defense.
By the way,
there can be an argument they took a step back. We just saw Le'Veon Bell didn't do him any favors.
Molly,
225 yards.
you're not even bringing up the biggest stat.
214 yards.
You're not even bringing up the biggest
thing. He's not getting it done on the defensive side of the ball, which is his specialty.
You're right about that, Molly, but guess what, Will?
Yes.
They had 54 sacks Doug Maroney's last year there. The very next year, Rex Ryan's first. 21 sacks.
And they actually took a step back.
You got Mario Williams. You sit up there, you got him dropping back into the secondary when he was a pass rusher. Defense is supposed to be your signature.
So that
and their
should be
defense
unlocked,
stinks.
and that's
Come on now. Come on.
I would not say the defense stinks.
That's the difference. That's what you and Max. Your results don't matter nearly as much as the process.
I get last word?
Go ahead.
Well, it's just this. If I'd argued that there's zero evidence that Rex Ryan should be fired, you'd be winning this debate. But I didn't argue that.
Excuse me.
I argued that 2 years in, you don't have enough.
I do.
You don't have enough.
And I'm telling you factually, I'm absolutely right. You just need to be drug tested.
And 500 is a solid coach, and he may be 8-8 this year. Looks like an 8-8 team to
make an
me.
argument on behalf of Rex Ryan.
Maybe 9-7, Max.
Where were you?
Okay, we got to
Where were you with
Will,
Jeff
I want to
Fisher?
see how
You
you
should
feel
argue
next
for him.
week if you've had enough of Dak. We'll talk to you next week after the Sunday's game. Can't wait to see where you are in that Romo situation.
I'm shocked he wasn't here to argue for Jeff Fisher. Who knows with you?
What if Rex is 9-7? What if he wins out?
All right. We'll address it all next week. We'll see how it goes. Will, always good to see you. Stephen A. got his wish. Jeff Fisher fired by the Rams. But who should be his replacement? Jordan Bettis will join the desk with that answer. Also ahead, why is Jay-Z throwing shade at Phil Jackson? And what does LeBron James have to do with that? We discuss.
Got the big in the room. It's about winning. That's what it comes down to. And Jim Harbaugh's that guy. I mean, he went to Michigan. They were losing. All of a sudden, they were back in. They were the Michigan that we knew of old.
He went to Stanford and said,
right.
I'm going to beat you at USC. Everyone laughed at him, and guess what? They started beating USC.
And that offensive line can be fixed. It really can be fixed. But you got to get the right person in line to fix that. Look, if Kevin Demoff and Stan Kroenke want to win, you have to put the right people at the head. You really do. That's what it comes down to. I feel bad for the fans, and I feel terrible for the players, and that's no fun.
Eric Dickerson will get his VIP treatment back, rightfully so. That was him on AM 570 LA saying he wants Jim Harbaugh as the next head coach of the Rams after Jeff Fisher was fired yesterday. Max, who do you think should be the next head coach in LA?
Well, of course, if you can get Jim Harbaugh, you go get Jim Harbaugh. The guy is a winner. He doesn't wear particularly well over time, it seems to me, in the NFL if you look at San Francisco. But even there, that was a tremendous, I thought over a 3-year period, when you look at all the evidence, even though they didn't win the Super Bowl, they were the best team over that period in the NFL. if it's not about him being an offensive or defensive, mastermind. As Mark Schlereth points out when he comes on this show, people are hung up on drafting, but there's also the element of development. And it's not exactly the same thing as drafting. Ideally, you draft the players you want and develop them in the ways that you think that's the reason you draft them. They can become this guy ultimately. But it's not exactly the same thing. And you look at players, for example, on the Patriots. Who was Julian Edelman? Who was Chris Hogan? Who was LeGarrette Blount? Who was Malcolm Butler? Who are these people? But they get to the Patriots, and because of the way they are developed there and then the way they're deployed, they are excellent, assets for a football team. So Jim Harbaugh, wherever he goes, will do that, it seems to me, and is an elite football coach, either on the college or pro level. And if you can get him, you get him.
Well, you really stepped out on a limb there, and so am I, because I completely agree with you. You want to go and get Jim Harbaugh, and the reason why you want to go and get Jim Harbaugh, and I feel sorry for saying this because part of me doesn't want him to leave the kids at Michigan and what he's built there. I'd like to see him win a national championship before he gets. I mean, we rave about Jim Harbaugh, and I love him. I think he's a great, fantastic coach, but he didn't win a national championship at Stanford. He didn't win the Super Bowl championship at San Francisco. He hasn't won the national championship or been in the playoffs at Michigan, even though it's year 2, and he's clearly done a phenomenal job. So why should he be the ideal individual in Los Angeles? It's very, very simple. Because he got robbed in San Francisco. The fact of the matter is the San Francisco 49ers, they sat up there and they made him the scapegoat. Trent Baalke and Chip Kelly shouldn't be there, as far as I'm concerned. What they did to Jim Harbaugh is an absolute travesty. And the fact that he could end up in Los Angeles, out on the West Coast, in the same division as the San Francisco 49ers, I think would be poetic justice. And I think it's something that we all should clamor to take place. I definitely think that's the way to go.
One comment about that, Stephen A. There are managers and coaches in every team sport who mean a tremendous amount to turning around the fortunes of the team. I think about Billy Martin in baseball. He was worth, he could take a last place team the year before, and just through not even acquiring players, using them certain ways and just being a brilliant baseball guy, win the division the very next year, come in second place, just a total turnaround that's unlike anybody else. And I think Harbaugh is that kind of guy. He's so intense, he can do that immediately. Like that year, you go from terrible to really, really good. But Billy Martin was not a long-term answer for a franchise or a team because the intensity burnt those guys out. And the only reservation I have for Harbaugh's candidacy as a head coach in the NFL is in college with the turnaround of players, the turnover rather, every several years, and the fact that they are college kids and you can coach them a certain way, that intensity maybe wears better. And I wonder if in the NFL, it's not that I would ever pass on Harbaugh, I would take him, he'll make you good right away. But it will be interesting to see if and when he has his next stop at the NFL level, whether that wears well over time. And maybe it's with the front office that it doesn't wear well, I don't know. But it seems to me it's possible that his level of intensity will make you great for 3 or 4 years, and then it may be time to move on. I'd like to see him again in the NFL.
It'll be interesting to see their laundry list of candidates right now, former coaches and obviously coordinators. But what an opportunity to turn around football in the city of Los Angeles, that sunshine. Obviously a lot of work to do.
Here's the beauty of it. There's nowhere to go but up.
Exactly.
It's been so awful.
The bar is set nice and low.
The bar is set nice and low. And Jim Harbaugh is like the Larry Brown of football. He's Mr. Fix-It. Let's see what he does. Let's see if that's something that he would take. But they would be smart to extend the opportunity to.
It'll be interesting to see how it plays out. Coming up next.